Good morning. This is October the 28th or 29th. 29th, I guess. Or is it 28th? Not 9th. This is October the 28th, Monday 2024. And we are in BBA first semester English class, where we have been reading the story of a war for the last 3 or 4 days. And yesterday we read the letter that Prema wrote to Kesava. And we have a presenter. So could you come from this side to this dais to present? You want to present? Come.
Yes, this one is mine.
Yeah. Section 6. Come. Walk from this side and come here. As you speak, hold the mic. And if you need to use this screen, here's the pen. I'll guide you, okay? Hold the
Simran is my interviewer. She will ask me questions.
Okay. Let me invite Simran here. Can you forward over there? I need this chair. Simran, this is here. Okay. So let me open this story. Section 6 is the closing section, the last section of this story. And in a story or plot, things begin normally like this. Then there is a rising action, and then a crisis happens here. And after the crisis, the situation changes and goes down and becomes normal. You might feel, in this story, you might feel that we do not have this moment in the story, because this is section 6, where we see the girl dead. For the rest, let's listen to both of them. So you can now proceed with the questions for him, and he will answer your questions. Yes, please. If you want to sit, you can take a chair. If you want to sit, you can. You sit here. You can use your note if you need to. And please hold the mic by your hand as you speak. Do you need the notes? No. And make sure the mic is closer to your mouth as you speak, because this mic is not very good quality. So can you pass him a question?
So what is the main conflict in the story of our?
Do you think this question is based on section 6?
Yes.
Okay. What is the main conflict in this story?
Okay, so I think the main conflict in this story is due to Kesav's father, which he had totally loaded the negative thoughts in the brain of Kesav, so that he took the wrong decision, and that leads to the negative impact, like destructive impact in the Prema's house, like the death of Prema.
Okay, you think that whatever Kesav does for those difficult decisions, we can't blame Kesav, rather we need to blame Kesav's father, because it is Kesav's father who says he will expel him from home and not give even single paisa of property. That's the reason Kesav thinks, where shall I go if my daddy doesn't allow me in the house? Then he says, right now it seems quite impossible to go ahead. Yes? As he answers, you can also add comment from your side as I'm doing. Your interviewer is the interviewee, and you can also comment. Let's go on.
So how does Prema later reflect her character?
How does Prema
Later reflect her character.
later reflect her character? What time do you mean by later? Could you make it easy to understand? How does Prema reflect her character later?
Later L-E-T-T-R.
L-A?
L-E-T-T-R.
L-E-T-T-R. L-E-T-T-R. Okay. So Prema sends a letter to Kesav, and Kesav replies next morning. And Prema gets the letter. So her question is, once Prema reads the letter, what is Prema's reflection or feeling on the letter?
So, according to the letter written by Prema, I thought Prema is a very kind and courageous girl. In the letter, she had written that she can overcome all those negative struggles or all those negative like problems faced after marrying to Kesav. So I thought in the letter, like the nature of Prema in the story is like decency is good in the letter.
You can see the letter here, class. This is the letter that Kesav writes to Prema. And her question was, how does Prema feel after reading this letter? So we can read here, for example, it says that Prema drew a long, painful breath. First reaction. Then she tore up the letter. Second reaction. Because our question was, how does she react or reflect on Kesav's letter, I guess, right? You said good, but you focused more on Prema's letter, right? Where Prema says, I'm dedicated to you. Then, tweet away, then read ahead. Her eyes filled with tears. So Prema is quite hurt, she cries. She had never had the slightest expectation that the case of she had taken into her heart of the hearts of her husband could be so cruel. So Prema thinks that Kesav is cruel. Right? And when you read that Prema thinks that Kesav is cruel, consider Kesav's letter and also consider what we read about Kesav in section 5, where Kesav, we read that Kesav had the plan to marry Prema secretly, and Kesav expected his father to die soon, and he thought it wouldn't be a problem. It was as though until now she had been watching a golden. This is how she feels. How does Prema feel? She thinks that she was having a dream, golden vision, right? Golden vision. But on opening her eyes, that vision, what is that golden vision? That golden vision is the vision of marrying Kesav and having a good life together, bearing children, having nice family, a married life vision. Then but on opening her eyes, it had vanished completely because Kesav wrote that letter. All her hope had disappeared. Now Prema is hopeless. And connect this sentence, all her hope had disappeared, to answer the question, why do you think Prema might have committed suicide? At the end of the story, we see Prema dead in the bed. Though the story doesn't say she committed suicide, the story does not show any scene where Prema is committing suicide. We simply see Prema sleeping in the bed, and when the sun rises, the light falls on her face, and then we see the reddish face of this girl. But this line gives some hint. All her hope had disappeared, and she was left in darkness. So somebody who is completely hopeless, who feels cheated by the boyfriend, and who thinks the boy is cruel, right? And then who thinks that their life is in darkness, may commit suicide. Okay, I just clarified because our answer was about this thing, and though you answered, but you are a bit irrelevant. Okay, could you go ahead with the next question?
Why does Prema tear up after tearing Keshav later?
Okay, why does Prema tear up the letter? Your opinion. There may not be answer in the lesson, but what do you think is the reason that the girl tears? She must be quite angry when she tears, right? So why does she tear the letter? She tears and throws away. Why?
I think why she fears the letter because she thought that she will overcome all those negative thoughts his father overloaded in his mind, like he totally brainwashed Keshav's mind. So he thought that as Keshav is a courageous boy, so he can overcome all those negative threatening done by his father. And but after reading the reply letter of Keshav, which was totally the opposite to the expectation of Prema, and after reading that letter, Prema told the letter.
Okay.
This was totally opposite to the expectation of Prema.
Okay, this last thing is fine. You said the letter was quite opposite to her expectation. To answer this question, why does it tear? Keep in mind scene 1. If you remember scene 1, in scene 1, Keshav was accusing Prema that Prema is not courageous, Prema is traditional, Prema is conservative, Prema does not care about love, she cares more about parents and culture, all that. And now, when he answers with this letter, before we pay attention to what Keshav has written, Keshav says, I am in a terrible quandary about how to answer you. Because Prema has said, come home. In a letter, Prema said, come home and talk to my parents, and we can solve it. Then quandary, what is quandary? Quandary is a situation in your life when you do not know what to do. Quandary is a circumstance where you do not know whether should I go ahead or should I step back, what to do. Right? So Keshav tells her that he is in a very difficult situation. Now sometimes I think that Prema is not a very wise girl. If Prema had been a wise girl, she should try to find out what is the difficulty Keshav is facing. Right? Then I was answering this question, why does it tear the letter? So I should say that Prema tears later because she is very angry, no doubt. But the question is, why is she so angry? Then the answer comes, she might be so angry because she could never imagine that Keshav would cheat like this. Right? She is so dedicated. She is so dedicated because you read earlier that she said if she fails to marry Keshav, she would not marry anybody under the sun. Right? Okay, could you put the next question?
So what does Keshav mean when he says he cannot go against his father's wishes?
Okay, what does Keshav mean when he says that he cannot go against his father's wishes?
I think Keshav is financially like dependent on his father. That's why, and as said by Keshav's father that he will, if he marry Prema, he will not let Keshav in his house. Also, Keshav's father told that I will not give you a single inch of my property after you marry to like Prema. That's why. That's why being a financially dependent upon the father, so that's why he.
Okay, okay. You rightly said, in our life, even according to the theorist Maslow, the biggest concern we have in our life is the concern of our safety and security. And where do we get safety and security? We get utmost safety and security when we know we have a home to return, home. right? Just imagine you have no home to go to after this college. You will feel, where shall I go? It might rain. Where shall I protect myself? Home. And your food, fooding, lodging, clothing. These are the essential securities of human life. And Kesav's father said he will expel him from home. He said he would not give even a single penny from his property. And he said, do not come back to inside my compound from tomorrow if you decide to go with that girl. And this feeling of insecurity. There's one line where, if you remember in section 5, Kesav says that, where shall I go? My life will be ruined, he says. If I go with this affair right now, my life, if my daddy says no, my life will be ruined. So you're right. It is the reason, the father is the reason that Kesav thinks that way. Yes, your next question.
Why do you think Prema decided to commit suicide?
Okay, why do you think Prema decided, or why do you think Prema might have decided to commit suicide? We don't have clear answer, but you can find answer if you, let's see how you say.
Okay, so I think Prema is in really love with Kesav, and as Kesav denied to marry Prema, he chose to follow his father's order rather pursuing their relationship. And for all this like mental pressure about the reply letter of Kesav, the society, family pressure, each and everything, I think she committed suicide. This is the reason, I think.
Okay, let me add something here. Anybody who commits suicide, please understand that they are not in their right mind. Any person who is in the right mind will never commit suicide. They will try to find some solutions. When you ask the question, why did Prema commit suicide? Remember one thing. This story opened 6 months before at least. Because between section 3 and 4, we see 6 months gap. So before section 1 and 2, let's say, took place in 1 month. Section 3 took place 1 month, let's say. And between 3 and 4, 6 months. Then between 5 and 6, let's say 1 month. So in total, we can say this story spans over the time of 7 months. Right? Now, imagine a 20-year-old girl of your age is tormented for 7 months. How is she tormented? Because the father doesn't allow her to go to college. Somebody last time said, I guess she was locked inside room, possibly, don't know. Many people tried to convince her. The mother tried to convince her not to marry the boy. Father tried to convince her not to marry the boy. The relatives came and tried to convince her not to marry that intercaste, go ahead with intercaste marriage. But we read that she didn't hear to anybody. That means for the last 6 months, she was constantly thinking about this boy. For the last 6 months, she had no other thought. She was not allowed to go to college. She was not allowed to take exams, so maybe she forgot exam study. So do you see, can you imagine Prema's mental state? That is not given in the story. But you can infer, you can ask a question as she asked, why might Prema have committed suicide? We do not see direct answer to this question, but if you are a wise reader, you will focus on her situation. How does father behave? How does mother behave? Remember what mother said in section 2 when Prema said some people are having intercaste marriage. Mother said what has come of it, indicating that if they have intercaste marriage, their life is ruined. And Prema says, oh God, my mother won't allow me this marriage. And then Prema says, my life is like I've come inside a tunnel. In section 3, father gets very angry, right? He says, I will bow down to that boy who is known for self-sacrifice. Let me see who that boy is, right? And then Prema is also agitated. She goes in the room and she starts crying. And father follows him in the room. Father wanted to scold her more. But when father found that she is crying, he didn't scold. So do you realize for the last 6 7 months, Prema is undergoing a kind of mental torture, mental tension, mental suffering, and that culminated in suicide. So Prema's suicide did not occur overnight. It's not that till last evening Prema was very fine and Keshav said, I can't marry you, and all of a sudden she committed suicide. It's the it's the result of 6 months situation, right? Second, this story tells one more thing. There's an argument that, I may be wrong or right, I read somewhere, that boys work by mind and girls work by heart. There's a beautiful novel you might like to read in this topic. The name of the novel is Sense and Sensibility. Sense means mind, sensibility means heart. In that novel, there are two sisters. I forgot their name. And these two sisters, I don't remember exactly, they fall in love with the same person, I guess. They love the same gentleman, very handsome fellow. I read long ago but forgot. It is a novel by Jane Austen. And that sense sister, she always decides everything by using her mind and reason and thinking. But that sensibility sister, she always decides everything with her emotions. So don't you realize that Prema doesn't work by sense, she works by sensibility. Prema takes every decision on the basis of emotion. Hello, you are feeling sleepy. Maybe you did not have time to have sound sleep at night, I can see this year I'm having a new thing. I did not have this thing last year. It is 9 years I've been teaching, and the phenomenon of students feeling sleepy in my class, I am seeing it more this year. And I'm really curious why this is happening. Some of you told that you spent night watching mobile phone. Last time some of you said that you could not sleep. I don't know the reason, but I expect it to be fresh in my class and not feel sleepy. Okay, so the question, why does Prema commit suicide, is a big question. You can do a research. To answer that question, you have to study psychology, and then you have to study Prema's psychology, right? You can focus on all those passages in the story where we hear more about Prema's mind. For example, focus what Prema thinks when she is talking to mother. One. Focus what Prema thinks when she is arguing with the father. Focus what Prema thinks when she is arguing with Keshav. To answer this question, why does Prema commit suicide? But it's a very good question to write a good paper. I appreciate you came up with this question. It's a difficult question. Yes, next.
Do you think Keshav is a coward?
Do you think Keshav is the coward? Right? So the question, who is coward? Do you think Keshav is coward? First is yes, no question, so you can say yes or no, then you can elaborate. You think so?
Yes, I think so.
You think Keshav is coward? Why do you think Keshav is coward? Whenever you speak, keep the microphone close to your mouth. Why do you think Keshav is coward?
Okay, so if I will be in the case of Keshav, so although my dad, my father, brainwashed me, like he loaded all those negative threats upon me, like he said, I will not give you a single inch of my property, I will not let you in my house. Although he did that, on that day I go to Prema's house, I will talk to Prema's parents, and I will ask them for giving me some more time so that I can work hard and be financially independent, and I will then marry Prema, and that will be beneficial for me and Prema in the future.
Okay, listening to your answer, one thing strikes me. Listen to me, everybody in this class. When you asked, what was your question? Do you think Keshav is coward? And you agreed. Consider these things. There is one story, let me just spend 1 minute time, titled Marriage is a Private Affair. This story has been written by Chinua Achebe, Nigerian writer. And in that story, Nene is the girl and Nemeka is the boy. Both Nene and Nemeka are a college student in Lagos, Nigerian city, in the university. And over the time, Nene and Nemeka fall in love. But the problem is that Nene comes from one community and Nemeka comes from another community. They don't have same community, same caste like this. So over time, Nene asks Nemeka, says, darling, why don't you inform your parents that we are in love? So please write a letter and tell your father and mother that we are in love. But Nemeka does not have courage to write. Then one summer, Nemeka thinks I should go home and tell my daddy and mommy about the love. So Nemeka goes home in the summer vacation. Nene is in the university. And then when he reaches home, he finds that his father has already found a girl for him. And then Nemeka does not like that girl because she was the girl who used to beat him when he was a child. So Nemeka is very uncomfortable what to do. Then Nemeka returns back to university, and then Nemeka, without informing the father mother, marries Nene. Right? Now father mother do not know. After some time, Nene and Nemeka have children. 5, 6, 8 years pass. And you know what happens when the grandchildren grow, soon they start asking their parents, where are our grandparents? Nene and Nemeka children say, Mommy, Mommy, where is grandpa, where is grandma? Then Nene feels like crying. So one day what she does, she takes her photograph where Nene and Nemeka both are, and keeping it in an envelope, she mails this photograph to her in-law. And when this photograph comes home, it comes like a bomb. So what the father does, Nemeka's father, he opens the photograph, and when he sees the photograph, he is shocked like Keshav's father. He is shocked because he sees his son with another girl whom he doesn't know. But he can guess by the face that she is not from his community. So what he does, he tears the photograph from the half, keeps the son's picture, and mails the daughter-in-law's photo back saying that I have nothing to do with you. The photograph comes back, half photograph, through black. And Nene finds torn photograph. And Nene cries and cries and cries over time. Then she thinks, oh God, they won't accept me. Then time passes. Then Nene writes another letter. She says, dear in-laws, I'm okay, don't accept me, fine, no problem, I won't come to your home. But I have a problem because your grandchildren, they every day ask me, who is my grandma, who is grandpa? So please, would you accept your grandchildren? And when the grandparents get this letter about grandchildren, their thinking changes. And they say, oh God, we should accept grandchildren and you should accept son, daughter. Then the whole mind changes. Now they say, they are okay with this marriage. And they want to write a letter to send them and tell them come home with both of you and children. But the story ends before we know what happened. It's a wonderful story. I'm telling you this story to make my point that just imagine Keshav was having a job. Imagine Keshav was earning money. Imagine Keshav did not financially depend on his father. Then do you think Keshav would have written that kind of letter? Probably no. So do you realize one crucial fact in the story? economic status, economic dependency, independency plays very crucial role in the story. Even if Prema was a job holder, maybe Prema would say, let's run away, we have money, no problem. Even if Keshav was a job holder and having money, Keshav would say, what if father doesn't allow? Because the biggest problem came when daddy said you can't come in, right? If Keshav had job, he could say, no problem daddy, I live in the city. So sometimes I feel that Keshav is not coward, it is the culture and social situation, financial situation that forces him to be coward. When we read stories, look at me everybody, in stories we have questions as he's asking, valid questions, but we never have final answers. The wonderful thing about literature is that you can raise questions on literature, but you do not find final answers. Like he gave one answer, I gave another answer, you may have a third answer, right? Yes. Okay. So I'd like to ask you, what is your overall impression of if you read the whole story or this section? Can you quickly summarize your impression? If you have read the whole story, comment about the whole story. If not, comment the last section. Keep the mic close to your mouth.
Okay. So this passage, I will say about this passage only, sir. This passage explores the emotional pain of Prema after being led by Keshav. Keshav, who chose to follow his father decision, father order, rather pursuing their relationship. So I think this is the main
Okay. I found that all the presenters, I can see they have read only those sections which were assigned to them. And I infer that those who are not presenting, they have read nothing in the story. I may be right, I may be wrong. Those of you who didn't come to present, I guess you didn't read the story. Please, everybody, whether you're presenting or not, you should read all 6 sections of the story. If you do not read the story, you won't understand. Let me close the story. You can take a seat. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. Okay, so let me finalize the story. I'll focus on the some paragraphs here. Let me focus on Prema's situation at home. So the mother says to Prema, what did Keshav write? Because the parents expect a positive answer, right? Prema looked at the floor. See, when you are to answer that question, why did Prema commit suicide? You have to gather evidences from here. Look here. She looked at the floor. When do you look at the floor? If I'm talking to, what's your name? Simran. Let's say I'm talking to Simran, for example. Let's say I have, I have done something hurtful to Simran, something not expected. And now I have done such a bad thing to her that I cannot face her. And just imagine she comes to me to talk. What will happen? I will not be able to look into her eyes. I will look down. Do you realize this thing? This is psychology. When you are, when do you look down? It's mother. And I think she should have looked into the mother's eyes while talking. But do you see, she looks on the floor. And I have a question. What is the reason that Prema looks on the floor and not in the eyes? And one answer can be, Prema is mentally quite unstable. Prema is emotionally very much disturbed. Her psychology at this scene is very volatile. She is in a situation where she is not able to take right decisions. And another thing is that It was Prema who argued with the mother. It was Prema who argued more with the father. And don't forget, Prema said to father that Kesav has the quality of self-sacrifice, right? And now she finds that Kesav doesn't have self-sacrifice. Kesav is a cheat. Kesav is unfaithful. Kesav is not loyal. And she is emotionally so hurt that I'm not getting one word in English. I want to, the word is here, it doesn't come here. I mean to say a situation where one feels cheated, insulted badly, and is in such a situation that they feel embarrassed and ashamed to have eye contact. Normally, we do not have eye contact with people when we are quite ashamed of something. If suppose you find me stealing, I'm your teacher, and you find me stealing, right? You caught me stealing. What will happen? I have fallen in your eyes. So if you talk to me and say, Divakar sir, I won't be able to face you. So do you realize Prema is not able to face mother? Why? Move ahead. He is not feeling well. Now look. Still Prema is protecting Kesav. Prema could have said right at this point, mother is a cheat, is disloyal, and Prema could have abused Kesav at this point. Prema could have said this and that to Kesav with her mother, but still she is protecting by saying he is not feeling well. What else was there to say? This line is very important. Why there was nothing to say? Because this letter that Kesav wrote fell on Prema's heart like an atom bomb. It destroyed all her hopes. Move ahead. She could not have borne the shame, this shame. When I say, why did she look on the floor? Here is the answer. She could not have borne the shame of revealing Kesav's brutal disloyalty. But the biggest thing that Prema could not bear is the feeling that he is disloyal. When you are truly dedicated to someone in love, the most important thing you expect is loyalty. Do you remember in Prema's letter, if you see Prema, to connect this sentence, let me show you Prema's letter to Kesav and connect one line. Let me show you here. See this line. Pay attention to this line. See here. I am ready to undergo any kind of hardship with you. This is Prema's dedication. Right? I am ready to go under any hardship for you. Such a boy becomes disloyal. Then Prema writes, now look here, she is fantasizing, she is romanticizing, she is imagining. She is 19-year-old girl like you, in a late teen. You girls, you boys are emotionally like a volcano. There is a lot of emotion in your heart, right? Forget, remember that. I am caught up in the dream of when the two of us will join. Look, what was dreaming? Oh, soon we'll get married. We'll go on honeymoon, we'll have children, all that imagination. He will be in my arms, I'll be in his arms, all this imagination. Look here, why that bond, that cannot be received. She imagines about the bond. What is the bond? A very pure bond, holy bond. There is no selfishness in this bond. There is self-sacrifice. Kesav sacrifices himself for Prema, Prema sacrifices herself for Kesav. Cannot be broken. That remains strong no matter how great the difficulty is. Actually, Prema says that the bond of love cannot be broken by any difficulty. Okay? Prema says in this line that the bond of love is so strong that nothing can break. And the irony is that A girl who says that nothing can break the bond of love commits suicide. And I'm not able to understand how can a girl who has such a thought decide to commit suicide. So I still have this question, why does the heroine in this story commit suicide? And I have no answer. Okay, move ahead. She spent the whole day working around the house as though there were nothing wrong. Look, as though there were nothing wrong. Actually, she pretended that she was fine. She did not want her family to have any guess about what is going on. Have you seen? I have heard a couple of stories about young boys and girls committing suicide in some of my relatives' houses. And I remember one right now as I talk to you. He was the only son. He was studying, he had just completed 12th class. He was preparing to join college. He was the only son. And last year, he committed suicide by hanging himself in his home in the hillside. And people told us on phone. And I asked them the details. And what I found that the boy woke up early morning, went to Khed, worked with the parents. He was very normal. Nothing came, ate food. He was talking normal. And all of a sudden, they don't see him. Hey, where are you? Nowhere. They find he's hung. So my point I'm making you is that those people who are suicidal, who have suicidal thoughts, they are in such a situation that they are silent. They are switched off. One symptom of suicidal people is they won't talk to you, they won't talk to anybody. They won't go out. They will lock in the room. They won't call, they won't meet friends. They will keep themselves secluded. Suicidal people. I don't know why, because I'm not a psychologist. Read here. She made dinner for everyone that evening. This is remarkable because we know in traditional families, girls are expected to work in the kitchen with the parents. And ate with them. Look, this line was a bit quite difficult to understand for me because I was expecting that Prema would not eat food because when you are mentally very sad, you don't like eating. Then, until quite late, she played the harmonium and sang. And you know, in Indian society, if you have cultural awareness, can you guess what kind of song Prema might have sung in the family? It's very easy to guess because with the father, mother, I'm sure Prema did not sing any item song. Prema did not sing any love song, romantic song. I'm pretty sure Prema sang a bhajan. Because in Indian families, mostly in the evening when they go to bed, they might be singing bhajans. They have religious atmosphere. So I guess Prema sang a religious prayer or religious song. Now here the story paragraph ends. Now we have the last paragraph, only 2 lines. In the morning, in this story we have morning 2 times. One in section 3. Prema wakes up with new courage in the morning. Another morning we have in section 6. Otherwise in section 1 evening, section 2 darkness, section 4 day, section 5 day. In the morning, they found her lying dead in a room. We can easily know they means father and mother, whatever. They found her. How? Lying. And writer clearly says when they found her, she was dead in a room. At a moment when the golden rays of dawn bestowed on her face. Now you can argue, Divakar sir, reading this line, how can you say she committed suicide? Yes, you are right. Because there is no black and white evidence in this story to claim that she committed suicide. One can say, Divakar sir, I guess she had heart attack. One can have heart attack while sleeping. But if you argue that maybe she committed suicide, then there are evidences. For example, at one point in section 1, Prema says that if Kesav is not in my life is not there. And at another point, Prema says in section 2, her mother, that she feels like her life is like being swallowed by a dark tunnel. There are more evidences if you see where you have a hint that Prema might end her life. And in section 4, where Prema's father and mother talk, Prema's father said that if you don't listen to her, look how she's grieving, she might take her life. In section 5, Prema's father tells Kesav's father that if you and me don't listen to our children, they might take their life. So there are 3, 4, 5 places in the story where one or other characters talks about suicide. On that basis, I'm saying that maybe she committed suicide. At the moment when the golden rays of dawn bestowed on her face the illusory splendor. When I was reading this story, what attracted my attention, let me share with you, is this word, illusory. It comes from the word illusion. Illusion. Illusion is something that is false. When I finish reading this whole story, sometimes I feel like life for Prema was illusion. She could only imagine everything, but she could get nothing. Do you see? Prema is in a very sincere love with Kesav throughout the story. And from section 1, where Kesav left Prema in tears in the Victoria Park, Prema is crying. In section 2, we guess she is crying because she could not sleep. In section 3, she is crying when she runs in the room. Right? In section 4, she is crying for 6 months. Father says to mother, she is grieving. In section 5, only we don't know because she is waiting for Kesav's father's response. Again, in section 6, she is crying. So throughout the story, this girl is crying. And she dies. Then, what attracted me in this line is 2 words. One is the word life. Life. Here the word life, the last word. And here the word death. What drew my attention is that Prem Chand, fantastic story writer, brings both death and life in the same sentence. And you know what happened when I was reading this line? The feeling I had was that in our life we should live with the conviction that I can die any moment. We should live with the conviction that I may die tomorrow. If you imagine that you may die tomorrow, it may have many implications. For example, you will try to achieve all the things as soon as possible. If you think I may die any moment, you won't have fear of death. So one thing I learned reading this last line was that death is a reality of life. Death will certainly come to everybody, whether you like or not. Right? Another thing, if you see in this last line, there is an imagery. Let me focus on this imagery that attracted me. See here. See this line. The golden rays of dawn, here is the word morning, here is the word dawn, bestowed on her face illusory splendor of life. The irony is that when the golden rays of the dawn fell on her face, she looked alive. She looked alive. But in reality, she was dead. Now ask a question. Divakar sir, can you make any guess at what time she might have committed suicide? Do you think she died early evening, late night, midnight? One guess can be, maybe she committed suicide half an hour before, 15 minutes before. Because still the radiance on her face hasn't faded. Because when a person is dead for 2, 3, 4 hours, the face becomes pale. The lips become black. Have you seen dead people? Raise your hand. Has anybody? Yes, you have seen. Anybody else? You have seen. Please, I will encourage you. if you have a chance, please do watch dead bodies standing as close as possible. Particularly look on their faces. And then this will have a benefit, because if you look at dead bodies standing close, you will learn something. What you will learn? You will learn to face death. You will learn the truth about death. You will know that death will come one day, and you won't be scared of it. So this line, that where the sun's light falls on her face, golden rays early morning, her face is red, and red is color of life, red is color of romance, red is color of vigor and power, right? Early morning rising sun is red, and the rising sun, dawn is beginning, but here when the day begins, a life ends. When the day begins, the life ends. And I understand, like, beginning and end always go together. So I can continue discussing this story like this 5 hours. It won't end, because this is the power of literature. And this is the wonderful power of such a writer. So I stop here. Now you take a pen and copy. Now, for 10 minutes, you will write your response about the whole story, because you have heard all the presenters. Presenter number 5 was not present, I analyzed. So please take your pen now, and as fast as possible, write your commentary and response on the whole story. Begin by like this. As I recall reading the story, I feel that, or you can begin like this. The story covered is about, and go on. Okay, begin like this, everybody. First sentence. The story covered is about, and then continue. The story covered is about, and continue. Thank you. Make sure you are writing. Please don't stop. Write continuously. As fast as possible. As much as possible. Now talk among yourself, is it alright? Look at me. Let me tell you one thing, you may be surprised. If you use earphones, as some of you do, soon you will be using earphones. This earphone cost me 3 lakh rupees. You won't believe. So it's not tiny. So your earpods come 10,000 rupees, best one. If you use earphone, after 1 or 2 years, your ear will be go deaf, and you'll be buying earphone. So please think 10 times before you insert earbuds. Okay? Thank you. Go on, go on, go on. I simply wanted to aware you. Go on, continue. Continue writing. Have you done all attendance?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry.
No.